So, good afternoon. 20 hours I'll be live. 20 hours I'll be live. But before I come, I wanted to show you the interview that was done by Makebi Zulu this morning on Diamond TV. Makebi Zulu brings out a number of issues which I would like you to really listen to and take note so that we can come and interact at 20 hours. I will come and open the phone lines and I would like you to contribute on this matter. But for now, I want you to listen to Makebi Zulu. But one of the points that comes out, first of all, is the issue of government begging the Lungu family to talk. I think from my point of view, the government of President Hakainde Hichilema on this matter has really been patient. They have really been so reasonable. They have been, I think they have really exuded leadership. They have exuded sympathy, because I'm telling you, I am a presidential aspirant. I don't think I would have tolerated some of the nonsense that has been coming from the Lungu family, because really I call it nonsense. They have been so stubborn. They have been arrogant. They have been intractable, such that I admire President Hakainde Hichilema and his government for the patience and sympathy that they have exuded. Surely, you can't have it any better than the way President Hakainde Hichilema has handled this matter. I'm not trying to ingratiate myself to Hakainde Hichilema for anything. No, I'm not. I am not trying to ingratiate myself to Hakainde Hichilema for whatever reason. I am simply recognizing things as they are. Anyway, listen to Makebi Zulu as these journalists fire questions at him.
Good morning and thanks for having me this morning.
Thank you for joining us. Let's just get right into this subject at hand. You have confirmed that the Zambian government, through the secretary, what are some of just the key conditions or concerns, that are being placed at the table? If you can, give us insight into that.
What I can confirm is that Mr. Patrick Kamba has reached out, and there are currently no negotiations yet.
You hear just that language. Yes, he has reached to us, but there are currently no negotiations. Just that language. Anyway.
To reach out formally. They're reaching out.
There is an indication that they intend to reach out formally. What does Makebi Zulu mean? They have reached out to them. So he's talking about there's an indication that they should reach out. They will reach out to us formally. What is he talking about? What is formally? How? They will write it.
Was to the extent that they intend to have a discussion or talks with the family, but those talks have not yet commenced. They are yet to commence.
They are yet to commence.
The formal engagement from the secretary to the cabinet.
Upon the formal engagement from the secretary to the cabinet,
stating what exactly is in the offing, and what exactly
they will be stating exactly what is in the offing. But look,
that's where we are. And just to correct you, the appeal.
What is in the offing? It's like they will tell us whatever. What about you? Why can't they show willingness to engage? They are not showing willingness. It is like, it's them, it's not us. We are not interested. That's basically, that's what I'm reading from this kind of language from Makebi Zulu. And they seem to be enjoying Makebi Zulu. Anyway.
For the Constitutional Court, was for direct access. There were two applications that were put in. One application
Anyway,
to the Supreme
here,
Court and the application for direct access.
Here Makebi Zulu is talking about the cases, you know, the application that was made to the High Court and then the Corn Court, and basically just saying that they wanted to shorten, you know, the process so that this thing can finish quickly. Yeah. I want to go
to the Constitutional Court. The reason for the High Court decided to adjourn with the judgment of the High Court, to the extent that the judgment of the High Court seems to suggest that it is the law in Zambia that a former president, or indeed a president, is government trophy, and the family has absolutely no say in it. The family disagrees with the aspect of, of suggesting that the only thing that can happen is for the sheriff to hand over the body to the Republic of Zambia, even after the court held that there was an agreement, which we said there wasn't, because that was...
So here Makebi Zulu basically is talking about the grounds for their application to appeal. That according to the judgment, it seemed to suggest that a former president is a trophy of the state, and the family has nothing to say about it. Basically, I mean, this is an issue of public interest. It has already been argued. Okay, it is an issue of public interest, and according to the court, they said to a person such as a former president, public interest takes precedence over individual or personal wishes. That's basically what Makebi Zulu is trying to talk about here. And Makebi Zulu is trying to change the language, but this is an argument that they had. The court, the South African court, the position that they took a position which the PF under Edgar Lungu took when President Dr. Kaunda died. Okay? The Lungu government are the ones that argued to say, public interest is higher than a personal or individual interest. They are the ones that argued it. Now Makebi Zulu is trying to avoid using those words, but basically it's an issue of public interest. And the court in South Africa said, well, this is what you ruled yourselves in Zambia. So, I mean, it's the same thing. Now Makebi Zulu here is trying to be clever, but at the end of the day, it's public interest.
But those were concessions on the part of the family, which were abrogated by the...
And then there is another point Makebi Zulu brings to say, the court said there was an agreement, but he's saying, no, there was no agreement. There was a concession. Listen to this Makebi Zulu. No, there was no agreement. There was concession. Now you have to go into the dictionary and start reading the definition, trying to see the difference. What is the difference between a concession and an agreement? Really? Really?
by the government, and having been abrogated.
Listen, I want to bring back that one so that you hear it.
Former president, or indeed the president, is government trophy, and the family has absolutely no say in it. The family disagrees with the aspect of, of suggesting that the only thing that can happen is for the sheriff to hand over the body to the Republic of Zambia, even after the court held that there was an agreement, which we said there wasn't, because those were concessions on the part of the family, which were abrogated by the government. And having been abrogated, if the court was of the view that we get back to that purported agreement, then the court should not have gone to the extent of saying the sheriff hands over the body to the Zambian.
Makebi Zulu here is just being what is this? What is the word? Some of these words, it's easier to write them than to pronounce them. Contestinacious. Anyway, is just being gibberish, no, there was no agreement, and if the court said there was an agreement and we were supposed to go, they wouldn't have said, tapale for aliranda, pamambala, tapale for aliranda, there was an agreement. Anyway, and he goes on to say what? Let me just...
And the Zambian government repatriated because...
Oh, he was talking about the issue of they abrogated. How did the government abrogate? They failed to argue this in court. And at this point in time, they cannot bring in new evidence. They failed to bring evidence to show that the government abrogated whatever agreement. And then, I mean, look at Makebi. Makebi Zulu, I mean, you might say, no, he's very intelligent. He's not. Or because he's trying to cook up things, he's getting caught up in his own way. He's saying there was no agreement. On the other hand, he says they abrogated the agreement. Makebi Zulu, what are you talking about? You said no, there was no agreement. Meanwhile, you say no, government abrogated the agreement. So we lost trust. Really? Makebi Zulu
seem to shift what is contained in the concessions that the family had made.
You see? Seem to shift what is in the concession. He runs away from using the word agreement.
Once the right and the Zambian government repatriate, because that would seem to shift what is contained in the concessions that the family had made, which were breached by the government.
Breached.
And in this particular case, we're saying, listen, we want...
How do you breach an agreement which is not there?
To be accepted. Because this particular judgment seems to suggest that the family has no role whatsoever to play. This is a government program. They can only participate to the extent that government permits them.
And who has said that? That this is totally a government program and the family has got nothing to whatever. I mean, this is why they have been engaging. This is why the government has been going to them to engage them. But here is Makebi Zulu saying the government is suggesting that the family has no business, and yet the government has been trying to engage them. I mean, this guy.
And I'm hoping that in engaging the family and in stating what is in the offing on the part of the government, they'll be able to address some or most of those issues that are of concern, which were raised in our appeal. Then if we're able to deal with them, I don't see no reason as to why we can't come up to an amicable agreement.
Mr. Zulu, with this insight that you've given us...
Listen to this question.
What the family standing is in terms of the court ruling and what the next step is, does the coming in of government through Secretary to the Cabinet, Patrick Kangwa, mean that there could be, in a sense, a halt on the family's edge to pursue this through the court and hear what might come out from this particular negotiation with the government? Because it seems that is, again, a quicker resolution for the family and also the state.
This question is very important from this journalist. He's asking, because Makebi Zulu earlier on, he said, no, we went to the Concord because we wanted, to serve on time, to finish these issues quickly. So we wanted to serve on time. We wanted to make a shortcut. That's why we went to the Constitutional Court. So the journalist is asking to say, okay, so you want to finish these things fast, right? Okay, so since you want this thing to finish fast, government has come in and is saying, let's talk, let's engage. Isn't this a best way of cutting short on the time? Okay, Makebi Zulu said, we went to the Constitutional Court, we wanted to save on time. The journalist has asked, with the government coming to you to say, can we talk? Isn't this another way of cutting short the time? Listen to Makebi Zulu.
Well, we can't determine as to whether it will be a quicker resolution or not, because the terms of the negotiations and what ought to be discussed, the extent of what the government is willing to give up in view of the judgment which was in their favor is not known. So we can't necessarily say what would necessarily come first in this regard. And mechanisms of possibly staying the proceedings for purposes of facilitating this may turn out to be a waste of time.
Listen to that. Listen. Have you heard to this guy?
The proceedings for purposes of facilitating this may turn out to be a waste of time.
Have you heard?
On,
have you heard? Let me first finish it so that
in this matter going to approach the thing, because what has been broken is trust. And
so you see this guy, just from the way he's answering, is that willingness? Is he showing any willingness to engage? You know, because he has basically spat on the overture of a government. Government is extending, you know, an open hand to say, please, let's talk. Please, let's talk. And his response is just something else. This is why I'm saying these people are arrogant, these people are stubborn, these people are intractable. It's difficult to deal with these people. It's very difficult. How can you deal with people like this? That's why I'm admiring with his government. I'm admiring their patience. Because really, anyway.
For trust to be rebuilt on the part of government, they'll have to take certain steps that are satisfactory.
So this guy is saying they have lost trust in government. What about them? What about them? Because even them, they have been changing. Today they say this, tomorrow, they have been changing. Before the High Court, they said, we want to talk with the family. And yet, in their sleeves, they had an application to take to the Concord. They said, no, we are coming on Wednesday. 10th. We are coming on Wednesday. On Wednesday, no, we are not coming. So, they want to label the government like government has been mischievous in all this. And yet it's them who are being mischievous.
The trust has been rebuilt. We had stated, even before the first judgment, that if we were to engage in talks, it would be first if the government, to be best if the government.
So you see, we have said they have put conditions. They have put conditions. Government, on the other hand, has not put any condition. For them, they have conditions. He's saying it. We have said that if there have to be talk, those are the conditions. Listen to the conditions that Makebi Zulu said.
Stop this weaponization of the media against the family.
Number one, he says they should stop weaponizing the media. The media against the family. Listen to first.
Because the desires of the family only culminated into one, giving the former president a dignified send-off based on his wishes and the wishes of the family. And the wishes of the family. That was the desire of the family, and that still remains the desire of the family. And as we stated in our statement, anything that's short of a dignified send-off will not be acceptable. Anything that seems to exclude the family from playing a major role, a pivotal role, and making decisions to engage in talks.
I've gone back.
It would be first if the government, to be best if the government could stop this weaponization of the media against the family, because the desires of the family.
So now he says weaponization of the media against the family. Now, UPND has consistently been asking people to refrain from discussing this matter. And I think UPND should be commended, because even when they lost the case, some people who tried to jump, there were just few individuals that made, bad comments, okay? And when we spoke out, they retracted their statements. One of them even apologized. I think UPND has practiced restraint on this matter. They have not been coming out that much. On the contrary, the PF themselves, they are the ones that have been doing so much propaganda. So much propaganda. Just look at the way they jumped when that black Jesus came on board, and they managed to hoodwink the High Court that they are talking, and yet they had filed a case in the Constitutional Court. Just, you remember how they were jumping? Remember how they were jumping? And they are every day, if you check social media, you have more propaganda coming from the PF than from the UPND. And yet Makebi Zulu is saying, is putting a condition to say, government must stop weaponizing the media. Which media? Which media? Which media can Makebi Zulu talk about? And this is why even in court they are losing. Because even in court they were being asked, can you provide evidence? And imagine even if he was arguing this in court, can Makebi Zulu provide evidence that the UPND has weaponized the media? Because the question is, which media? Which media is speaking bad of the Lungu family? Which media? Which media? And you cannot stop people from expressing themselves. People like myself, how can UPND stop me? How can UPND stop me? Patrick issued a statement. No, people should refrain and whatever. He's talking about government officials. I'm not part of UPND government. I'm not part of UPND government. But that is a sign that UPND is trying by all means, the government is trying by all means, to restrain people. So Makebi Zulu, basically here, I would say he's lying.
Only culminated into one, giving the former president a dignified send-off based on his wishes and the wishes of the family. And the wishes of the family. That was the desire of the family, and that still remains the desire of the family. And as we stated in our statement, anything that's short of a dignified send-off will not be acceptable. Anything that seems to exclude the family from playing a major role, a pivotal role. And
listen to that guy. Anything short of giving a dignified send-off. What are you talking about? Short of what? In your criteria? Anything short of, the family playing a major role. What major role? Excluding the former head of state. Excluding the former head of state. Is that the major role that you are talking about?
And making decisions that are befitting the desires of the deceased and the family will certainly not be acceptable. But in this whole thing we're saying.
And just for whatever, when you are going for engagement, this is why I say this young man is really immature. I'm telling you, Makebi Zulu is really mature. He's very mature, because when you are going for an engagement, when you're going for an engagement, for negotiations, you avoid using words such as unacceptable. No. That is confrontational. That is confrontational, because some of you have been telling me to say, this young man is very mature. Is very mature. You don't use such language. You don't use such language. Unacceptable. Is anything short of is unacceptable. You don't use that. And I want you to learn, when you are engaging, when you are going for negotiations, you don't use such terminologies as unacceptable. It is immature. It is immature. But he's using it. And this is the guy that you say is the one who's supposed to negotiate with the family, with the government, honestly, with this kind of language.
The rights of the family. what should ordinarily be the case in a situation?
What should ordinarily be? What should? This is, you don't use this language. What should? No, you don't.
In such as Zambia, what is the law relating to that? Because the court went to the extent of stating that the law in Zambia is that the former president should be buried by the government. There's no such law in Zambia.
Yes, there is no such law, Makebi Zulu, but you made it a law yourself when you went to court and insisted that Rakaunda should be buried at Embassy Park and not at the farm. You made it a law. You made it. It became a law as what is this? A case law. There's a terminology that precedence. A precedence was set, but there's another word that is used. Anyway. So you made it a law. You made it a law when you insisted, and you can't now blame the South African court to say why is the South African court, quoting what was ruled in the Zambian courts. They should follow what is in South Africa. You have a precedence, and you set the precedence. There
was nothing that showed that the court went in there to look at what the law is in Zambia. That's assuming that the law to be applied was the Zambian law. So we have all that and more. But the statement that we issued yesterday elaborates and talks much of the things that are concerns of the family and how best this matter can be resolved.
Now, Mr. Zulu, the one thing that I think both parties, this from the state side and even the Lungu side, we seem to hear of, and is quite of an agreement, is giving him a dignified send-off. I think from both sides, we hear this, that's what's befitting of him, a dignified send-off. Now, before we had seen, when there was a date set for him to be buried in South Africa, he had said, and what's happening now was to ensure that the Lungu story is told.
Lungu story.
We are now nearly 3 months since he passed away. What are we saying now is the Lungu story here, Mr. Zulu?
This is a question. This is a very interesting question. Because Makebi Zulu, no, the Lungu story will be told. The Lungu story will be told. So the journalist basically here is asking Makebi Zulu, hey, Mune, whatever, no, there will be a Lungu story. A Lungu story. So 3 months down the line, what is the Lungu story? Listen to Makebi Zulu.
See, perhaps you may not have paid attention as to what the issue in court was, and that is perhaps where the problem was. There were a lot of things were scattered over. If we had a judgment that was going to deal in depth with the issues that were raised by the parties, the argument on the part of the government that merely because he was President of the Republic of Zambia, that justifies that he should be buried by the Zambian government. And they said that is a benefit to him. And we said this, when you took out all the benefits of the former president, you could not possibly have vilified him in his lifetime, and you want to celebrate him in his death.
And listen, this is the pettiness of Makebi Zulu, the immaturity of Makebi Zulu, and whoever is behind such arguments. You vilified him when he was alive. There is no way you are going to celebrate him in his death. This is the argument. This is the Lungu story. Isn't that bitterness? This is what I've been talking about. This is just bitterness. And is this what you are going to bring to court? Because Makebi Zulu is talking like this. He's a lawyer. Edgar Lungu's benefits were withdrawn because he went back into politics. He went back into politics. And that is the law. The moment he would have stopped politics, immediately those benefits would have been restored. When Edgar Lungu was not in politics, before he went back into politics, he was receiving the benefits. He was receiving the benefits. The moment he went back into politics, according to the law, automatically, he was cut off. But in his death, Edgar Lungu is not doing politics. So, in other words, if you like, Edgar Lungu was stopped was retired from active politics by his death. Edgar Lungu will no longer do politics. He's dead. He has been retired by death. And Makebi Zulu, if only he was the, I don't know if I don't want, let me not say he's intelligent. He's intelligent. I mean, otherwise he wouldn't have managed to become a lawyer. But if only he would think reasonably, he would assent to this fact that Edgar Lungu was retired from active politics by death. Death retired Edgar Lungu from active politics. He is no longer doing politics. And since he has been retired by death, the benefits kicks in. But Makebi Zulu, there he is. He's talking, that is a Lungu story. Listen to this Lungu story.
The death which possibly, if he still had, if he was allowed to have access to medication, if you had not stopped him from traveling, possibly could have been alive. But who are we? We're not God.
So why can you? How can you even bring that before court? How could you bring that in court to say possibly he would not have died? What evidence do you have that if this has happened, if this had happened, he would have not died? Can you bring that? You can't bring that in court. You can't bring that in court. You just can't. But Makebi Zulu, I don't know who lawyer work with. These are issues that is he wants the court to rule on.
And determine that. But obviously that is something that has to be interrogated even much further. We look at the benefits of the former president and the argument by the state that upon his death they revert to the person who has since died because they are seemingly not in active politics anymore. There are all those issues that the court may need to look at, may need to interpret in the right context. That is, if we're going to apply the Zambian law, but it is disagreed on the basis that no one becomes government trophy merely because they render their services to the country.
Anyway, those are some of the arguments that Makebi Zulu has. And from my point of view, what I will be discussing at 20 hours, I will discuss a few other issues. But from my point of view, the Makebi Zulu doesn't have grounds to even continue battling this matter in court. They don't have grounds. That judgment stands. Like I told you, even when you were jumping around, I told you to say, the judgment of the High Court is still intact. It's still intact. The orders or the execution of the orders is just being delayed. Eventually, it will come to pass. And I wish Makebi Zulu and the family would not be spiting the overture of the government to engage them. I wish they would embrace that positively because the inevitable is going to happen. This case, they have lost it and they will not regain it. They will not regain it. I will discuss more at 20 hours. For now, I just wanted you to, hear this and ponder on this. And in case you have different views, please, you can call in. The number is in the title of this video. And for those of you who are watching on TikTok, the number is in the bio. So please keep that number and let us be able to engage. You can also get it on Facebook, page. It's the official number that is there. So you can get the number, jot it down, and let us interact at 20 hours. For now, I look forward to interacting with you at 20 hours. Good afternoon.